We sold like $32,000 worth of just these bells ahead of time before the sale even started.
Yeah.
We do great with the jewelry
So jewelry
and the fine
sells
art.
and tools,
Tools,
fine art.
vintage clothes. Clothes are great. People, that's one of the things that people often get rid of. Yeah, a big mistake is they're like, oh, you got to get rid of all of mom's clothes. And then we're like, oh, darn.
What other mistakes do people make before they call you? Welcome to the podcast. I'm Valerie Upham, and I'm an advocate for aging adults, and my goal is to avoid crisis-making decisions. One of the topics that we're going to talk about today involves our guest, Catherine Waters. She's the owner of Blue Waters Relocation and Estate Sales. And whether you're living in your home and with no intention of moving, but maybe planning for the future should there be something that happens unexpected, or if you want to downsize to a single-story home or to independent living, or maybe your health has changed and that's why you're moving. Maybe you're moving out of state. But either way, you're someone who has a lot of belongings and you're not sure where to start the process. So Catherine, tell me a little bit about how you got into doing estate sales.
Well, I started out as a set decorator in New York. I grew up here in Del Mar, and I wanted to study film, make my own movies. And so I went and I did, 3 television series and hundreds of national commercials. Okay. And then I had my first daughter and I was like, whoa, I can't do this anymore. First of all, I can't live in New York. And second of all, I just want to be in a more calm environment. Mm-hmm. So I moved back here. And then I thought, what can I do? My skills are very strange. It's photography, it's product identification, it's staging, it's all these different components, it's selling. Yeah. And then I had always gone to estate sales with my mom when I was little. And, there was a group called Chartwell. They don't exist anymore, but they would always do these big Rancho Santa Fe estates, and it was very fun. And I remember just going. So then I started helping my mother's friends. And then from there, I started helping people who were moving into senior retirement communities, like that lived in Carmel Valley and in the neighborhood. So then because I was sort of one of the only companies that was doing it at that time, now there's a lot of companies, but at that time there weren't really any. Okay. I just started doing it, and I sort of, learned by doing, really,
And have you found over the years that that experience made you that much better today? I mean, because I spent, 15 years?
Definitely.
Is that right?
Yeah. 15 years of doing it since 2011, 14, I guess. And because every new house presents a whole new set of objects, because everybody's history is, is unique and personal to them. And because of the fact that we're in a wealthy area, the people's experiences, like they've lived in many, many different places and they've collected many, many different types of things. And so each person is like a universe of objects and so every new person we go very deep with, we learn all about, because we're going through all of their personal stuff and their collections.
So then how do you determine the value for the different collections? Because you can have Japanese art, you can have stamp collections, you can have record albums. I mean, it's so vast. How do you go through that process?
Well, so basically when I first meet with the clients, when I first go in and meet with the families, I'll have them walk around and show me like what it is they don't want, basically. And so
what if they don't know what they want or don't want yet? Let's go back a step. Okay. Actually, and then we'll come back to that.
So they're like in very, very early stages. They want to move and they can't quite like get their head around how to do it. So basically in a situation like that, like we first identify like what it is that they want to achieve. Do they want to go to a smaller place and maybe they don't want to have to deal with the gardening and maybe the house maintenance? Because a lot of our seniors, there's leaks and they don't realize it. There's mold and they don't realize it because, over time, if you're living in a house, you don't necessarily, things can accumulate, problems can occur. and so basically, I will sit down with them and kind of first try to, understand what the goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do they want to move to their daughter's house in another state
Mm-hmm.
and they can only take a certain amount of stuff with them?
Yeah.
And what is the most important stuff to them, as well as like what are family heirlooms, things that are very important to the family that are significant. And every family member has a different kind of perspective on that. Some people could care less. They're like, my family came over on the Mayflower. I don't care. I just want like a big, comfortable chair and like a wall-sized TV and I'm set. I mean, that's, it just, we have to kind of work with who.
So it sounds like where they're moving to makes a big difference in what they're going to keep and what they're going to sell.
Huge. And if they have like kids who want stuff, or if they're just, maybe their children all live out of state, or maybe their children all have their houses and they're completely filled up. Maybe they don't have any kids, so we tailor everything to whatever the specific need of the person is.
So then now you're in their home, you're sitting down with them. Maybe they've decided where they're going to move to.
Yeah.
And it comes to the point where you're now evaluating their items.
Yes.
So let's go back to that part of the conversation.
Yeah.
How do you determine what the value of their items are?
So basically, like a certain age bracket, there is similarities between like really commonalities. Like I studied anthropology. And so, a lot of people who are 80 all have the same stuff because they married around the same time. They got the same wedding presents. They never used them.
The same music,
exactly,
the same furniture,
same furniture, the same show tunes, the same Pyrex, the same Corningware. Like they all have the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's very easy because, I mean, most houses at this point I could walk through and just say, okay, that price, that price, that price, that price, that price.
Okay.
But when it's a very specialized collection, like for instance, we did a lady who was so interesting. She and her husband, were very involved with the Mingei Museum, and they were seashell collectors. And so seashells, like I know a conch shell, I know abalone, but like that's about the extent of my knowledge. But so what I did is then I went to the San Diego Seashell Association. I met the head or the treasurer, I guess.
I didn't even know that existed, by the way.
I didn't either. But I was like, we go, if there is a collection of some kind, I have to figure it out, And so I go where the people are. I really try to target it because there were, 10,000 seashells in this house and some of them were very rare. And like, cause a seashell could be $1,000 or it could be $1.
Okay.
And for me, I don't know the answer to that. So I have to find someone who does, who can help me. So fortunately, this gentleman, and I mean this with no disrespect, but he had maybe a touch of OCD and maybe a touch of like, I'm not sure, but literally we went through every single shell and he was like $6, $10, $100, $4. And I was just like writing them like mad. And it was great. I was very lucky.
And what about an art collection?
Oh, art is easy. Art is easy because I subscribe to a website called Ask Art. And basically I photograph it. I find the artist. And if I can't find the artist, there's ways that I can go about figuring the signature out. But typically the way you do art, the way you value it is you look at the last couple of years, of auction results. And then you break it down by subject matter. And then you break it down by price per square inch. The way in real estate you have price per square foot.
Yes.
To try to get apples to apples. You try to get the closest comparable of something that sold at auction. So you can then, so if I know, this artist sold for $1 per square inch on a piece that was about the same size and has a similar subject matter. Because most artists, they will work in this same kind of thing for a while at least.
Yeah.
And then I can just take that and, measure out my painting, multiply it, and then I have a price. And so then it's as accurate as I can get. So I know that I'm not like selling something that's very valuable for no money. I really try my biggest fear is to end up, be that person on Antiques Roadshow where they're like, oh, I bought this at an estate sale. Like, I think there was somebody in La Jolla.
And it was worth way
yes,
more
exactly.
money.
Like they
yes.
sold it for like $8 million and they bought it at the sale for something like nothing, So that keeps me up.
Yeah, so I could see why.
Yeah.
So there's different estate sale companies.
Yes.
For the listener, how do they know the difference from one estate sale company to the other? They have an art collection.
Yes.
So they find an art specialist. They have a stamp collection. They're a philatelist.
Yes.
How does the person listening know if they're hiring the right estate sale company?
Well, I think if it sort of depends, like if you have finer objects, I think first of all, you have to understand if the person understands what they're looking at when you interview them.
Yes.
Like, do they see and understand what you have?
Okay.
You know what I mean? And a lot of companies are great for like the sort of, most houses where everything is pretty generic and it's all pretty straightforward. Like anybody could do that because it's very straightforward.
Okay.
It's like when there's more specialized stuff, you want someone with experience who has like a history or an understanding of like art history, furniture, architecture, who's well educated, I don't want to say I'm not those things, but I also don't want to be like, let me just tell you, I'm so fancy. But you know what I mean? It's like you want to go with a person that you can trust their experience and you can trust what they know.
And getting references helps too.
Yes, references are great.
Yes.
References are great. Yeah.
I think it's really important for you to interview a couple of people. Just like, I'm a seniors real estate specialist, and I suggest that you interview more than one real estate agent when you're going to sell your home. With estate sale companies, you should interview more than one estate sale company.
Definitely.
So that you know that you're comfortable with that person. You've vetted them. You know that they have experience. You get into trouble when you just find somebody online and you go with them. So having a referral from a friend and interviewing 2 to 3 people, I think is really important. And then that's how you know. And you can also appreciate the person that you end up hiring more because you see the difference of their expertise.
That's so true. That's very, very true. Because also there's some like younger companies too, where like they, it's a franchise, say, and they had to pay a big franchise fee and they have to pay that back. You know what I mean? So there's that component too, which can be difficult,
Right. And I know different companies handle their sales differently. So what I'm trying to say is that every house is different. There's different size, there's different contents, and not every single estate sale company will sell the items for you. So as much as you're interviewing them, they're also interviewing you. And sometimes you can send them photos in advance of anything of value, and then they can let you know even before even coming to your home if it's a good fit or not. And I think that's important to know. And working with your family or with, if you have a real estate professional or if you have a senior move management, whatever professional that you're working with besides the estate sale company, they can also help you vet them as well. So I think that's a good thing.
Definitely.
So how would you know if a sale was too small for you?
Typically, we won't do them unless we feel like there's but closer to $20,000 worth of sellable items. Sometimes we do them like if it's really fabulous, because for us, it's like, we don't care so much that it's like, we go low and we go high. We just don't want the boring middle.
Okay. So that's interesting.
We love it funky, and we love it fabulous.
Because funky sells.
Funky's interesting.
You're displaying all of this online. And that's where a lot of your buyers come from, right?
Yes.
And so they're seeing photographs of these funky items or these retro items.
Yeah,
or
because we want it. It's something
jewelry
that you could never find.
Yes.
Yeah, the jewelry. We do great with the jewelry.
So jewelry
and the fine
sells
art.
and tools, fine art.
Vintage clothes. Clothes are great. People, that's one of the things that people often get rid of. Yeah, a big mistake is they're like, oh, you got to get rid of all of mom's clothes. And then we're like, oh, darn, because all the young girls, like all the girls in their 20s, they love, they care so much about the planet and they want to recycle and then they love to wear they're all into fashion and they're so
Our daughters,
Yes.
we both have daughters who are
Yes.
22 and you have a 24-year-old
Yes.
and they're absolutely, she loves to go thrift shopping
Yes.
and all of her
Yes.
friends do as
and
well.
they love it. And they're
Yes.
so fun. They're my favorite clients. I always want to
Okay.
you know, just cause they see things in a different way and they have a different perspective. And it's very fresh and it's fun.
So
for
other
us.
than getting rid of the clothing, what other mistakes do people make before they call you?
I think they get rid of a lot of things because for us, like a couch, for instance, like 1 in 1,000 customers who come to the sale has room in their home for a couch. They just don't. It's too big and they don't need it. But everyone has room for something about this size. So people will get rid of all the small stuff because they're just like, oh, that's just a bunch of junk. But so say this was a $5 thing and we have $5,000, you know, $500.
things.
Yes, exactly. My math, excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So-
$500.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, and people just are like, oh, get rid of it because they want to just clear the space. But what we say, if possible, is if you can take what you like, just take what you love and pack it away and take it with you and then just let us come in and sell the rest. Like the only thing we want people to get rid of is broken things that really should just go to the landfill because we try to keep everything out of the landfill if we can.
Yeah.
Because that's really an important component for us because, you know, that's just important to us. And so take what you like, leave the rest. And then, so we basically will sell it down to the ground. We, you know, we pre-sell all the time because we did a sale last summer in Del Mar and this guy was an architect. He was the coolest man in the world. Like literally everything he touched turned to gold. It was like he was into, you know, posters of like bands at the Fillmore in the 60s. And then he was into Arcosante bells and he was an architect and he was a cowboy and he literally was just so cool. And his daughter actually works with us now because we had such a great experience.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I mean, she's just, they either at the end, they're either like, we want to come work with you because it's so fun. Or they're like,
appreciative.
they're appreciative. Yes. Or they're like, oh my gosh, I never want to do that again.
Right.
You know? But yeah, we sold like $32,000 worth of just these bells ahead of time before the sale even started.
So what does the pre-sale look like?
People just call us and say like, hey, I want that thing.
So you've posted online in advance.
Yes.
And then they're giving you full price.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
And
so it's kind of like eBay. You have a price and they're saying, I'll meet that price now.
Exactly. And then they can come and pick it up the day of the sale. We try to do that as much as possible because a lot of end users don't want to sit in their car at 4 a.m. outside the house. I mean, they're just like, I've got a job. You know?
Yeah.
I can't do that. So can I just, you know, I'll just pay you ahead of time and then come pick it up on Saturday.
So a lot of estate sale companies don't do that. They say you have to come to the sale. And I would guess that that's because they don't have enough content. So they want to make sure that there's enough to show up when people show up at the sale.
Yeah.
Would you say that would be the case?
I don't know why exactly. Because it seems to me like everybody should do it because it seems like a wise thing to do. Efficient and you get the best price and there's no fighting in line and the lines are smaller. So it's not so chaotic because it can be a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we have, you know, it can be, sometimes I'll even post the prices online because I don't want, you know, we're in like Rancho Santa Fe in a really fabulous neighborhood and the neighbors are going to get mad if I have like 1,000 cars or 500, you know, or say 100. I'm exaggerating, but
too many cars.
Too many cars.
Too many cars. Yeah.
Too many cars. Yeah.
So how do you keep it safe? Someone's scheduled. They're purchasing from you. They've paid you a price, I assume, through Zelle or through Venmo,
Zelle, credit card.
And so because they paid you, you feel confident that everything's safe because you're meeting a stranger.
Yeah.
I meet strangers all the time.
Yes.
So what precautions do you take for the homeowner? Because a lot of homeowners are concerned that strangers are coming into their home.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you keep that process
So
safe?
basically we have like all of the people who work for me are very vetted. They're primarily, very well educated, homemakers who maybe have their kids are now off doing things and they're at home and they're bored. And like we have an economist for the World Bank doing our cash register. Like I was saying before, like we have this most incredibly well-educated and like ladies, we have ladies and they call it like Catherine in the tens, because my ladies are so fabulous, all of them. And like one ran an art gallery. This, they all have this very
is at the actual estate sale.
The actual estate sale. So they're working, they're all working. And then for the valuable items, we have an area where there's one room and you have to put your name down. One person is allowed at a time. They're not allowed to carry anything small and valuable with them. It is, they pick it out, we put it in a bag, we give them a receipt, they pay for it, and then they come back and pick it up. Because we do have a problem with shoplifting, and so we try to curtail that as much as we possibly can. We do not allow bags in, we make everybody zip up their purses, and one funny thing is that
so at the door,
someone's
walking in, you have maybe rules posted,
and we say,
somebody there to monitor that.
It can be difficult, but the stricter we are, the better it is, because then the thieves, which there are, unfortunately, they don't come because also there's like sort of a network of estate sale people who work at our sales and other sales. And we send around pictures of people and just say, we caught this guy stealing, beware. And so whenever that person comes in, then we all just send a text and, and if you're being trailed at an estate sale, it usually means maybe you've been, maybe somebody thinks you're trying to steal something. And we don't mean to be disrespectful because, usually the people who steal are the least likely people that you would think, they have a whole costume, so they look like a very respectable gentleman in a suit or whatever. And they're the ones who are stealing.
Okay.
It's weird.
Yeah. And then
it's kind of counterintuitive.
Well, I worked at a bank in my, when I was 19 to 21, so years ago. And, what's his first name? Abagnale Jr. Frank Abagnale Jr. came and he gave us an instruction on how to look for fraud. He was the guy in Catch Me If You Can. Yeah. And so he said that anybody coming in a suit, just because you're dressed well, does not mean that you have money.
Yes.
And so there's definitely costumes or characters that can come in and same thing, just like at an open house, you don't judge somebody by them being in flip-flops and shorts. They could be the millionaire next door.
Yes.
So yes, it's very, very much so.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny because it tends to be like there's like certain things like they have to be handsome. And well dressed.
Yeah.
Literally the handsome ones. It's always the handsome ones. Yeah. They're the ones who steal.
Interesting.
I know.
Well, that's unfortunate. Then a reconciliation at the end of the sale. What does that look like for your client?
So we write paper receipts and then we have it transcribed. One of our cashiers does it all and does it on a Google spreadsheet. So basically you have a record of every single thing that's sold. It's one line per sheet. So it'll basically say like couch, fur coat, kitchen pans or something like that. And then there's a price, how it was paid. And then if the person was resale or not, because we pay sales tax because we have to, we keep really immaculate records because we do a lot of trusts and we do a lot of, we work a lot with attorneys. So, and realtors, because we try to be immaculate in our records and very transparent. We don't do an inventory, but we do a photographic inventory. So we'll send pictures of every single thing if you want. If the family wants, I can do a link, and so they all have. And one thing that's a slight aside, but if there is a family and people are like someone has passed away, and there's some kind of conflict between who gets what of the possessions. There's a really great website that I use a lot of times, and it's called Fair Split. And basically what it does is I'll go in sometimes for the family and I will do a valuation of objects. They'll say, can you value everything in the house? I'll value everything in the house. and then, for a fee or whatever, for an hourly rate. And then, then each person can go in and say like, I want, so Joe took the couch, mom's silver, the lamp, and then it all is like a pie. So basically, so Joe got, $55,000 worth of stuff and Mary only has 10,000. So Mary gets more cash. You know what I mean? So it's an easy way to split up the estate.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And it's a miraculous thing because it cuts down on strife with the family, when there's conflict in that.
So how does it work when a homeowner or the family, they feel that their valuables are worth more? Because do they see the prices before they show up at the sale?
Yes.
How is that conversation handled?
So basically, like in my contract, it states that what I say something is priced at is the price that it is, because I compare I give a sold comparable. Like people always think, like, I think that people generally, and it's a lovely thing about human nature, is people think that what they have is the best thing. Like,
well, and when they bought it, it was expensive.
Yes, definitely it was expensive.
Or they worked really hard for that money.
Yeah, and their mother always said, well, this was Grandma's china, like she came across in the covered wagon and had this china with her and it was from her family, and it's really meaningful, very sentimental, very precious to the family. But as far as like an object for sale, it sometimes is not,
Yeah.
So basically what I do, and most people don't do this, I don't think, but they might, is I'll go in when I go in initially and photograph everything that's going to be sold, is I will do a Google Doc, basically stating what the object is and the price. And then I use that for pricing. I'll bring that, cut it, and put I'll attach it to the object, but also I send it to the family and I say, hey, is there anything in this list that you agree with or disagree with? Maybe I don't, because, I know a little bit about a lot of objects, but I don't know everything. And I am very open to because the family could say oh my goodness, that is a Pennsylvania Chippendale chest and it is, very, very valuable. And maybe because I can miss things. So I would love having the family, because I don't necessarily know everything. And I'm very open to that because have
you ever had it happen though, where they're saying this is worth more and this is worth more, and all of a sudden your entire list they feel is completely undervalued? I tend not to do that.
I won't do that sale. Okay. Because if they don't trust me, and because I've been doing this for a very long time and I know what things sell for, if they don't trust me to agree to, certain things, definitely, if they want,
so
say 5 objects,
or 5,
and or if they really just want the object and they want it, and so they want to put a big high price on it, I'm totally fine with that. But if they want to price everything themselves and everything is out of line with what will sell, I just can't do it, unfortunately. And I'll tell them too, because it's just, it'll be a waste of my time. My customers will be angry. They'll write me Yelp reviews. And then, it's a bad situation. So I will avoid that. But it actually has never happened where, I've had customers who want me to price it higher and I'll try, and then they'll see, that just didn't work, and then they'll let me cut it down.
So what about when you say cutting it down? I believe that, I think all estate sale companies do this on the last day of the sale.
Yeah.
Whether it's Thursday to Sunday or Saturday and Sunday only, depending on the amount of contents.
Yeah.
That the prices are cut in half. Is that what everybody does?
Well, I think so. Yeah. Okay. Basically we start out full price our first day. We don't negotiate at all.
So your better items tend to sell first, and that's where you're going to be full value.
Exactly. Okay. And then we go, we're like 25% and then 50%. And then if we still have a ton of stuff, then we go 75%, because our goal is to sell it. And if there's anything,
you want to keep it out of the landfill, like you said.
We don't want it to go,
you want to bring value to the client.
Yes.
And you want to keep it out of the landfill.
So I don't want to price it too high to start, because if I price it too high, it just won't sell.
Right.
So we price it, and we'll negotiate, you know what I mean? If it's like something that I feel like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to find somebody to buy this thing. It's so unique and specific. I'll negotiate, on the first day, but it's mostly
merge sales with two different clients.
Yeah, I do. Like we're doing one in Rancho Santa Fe this weekend. Last weekend we were only doing that house, only the contents of the house. And then this weekend we're bringing in like stuff from like 5 other clients because we have 2 weeks and the house, we really almost cleared it. So we want to have enough interesting stuff so people will come back.
Okay. And is that hard to track from this family to this family's belongings?
Not
different
really.
Stickers?
Not different color. We just write their names down. And then the cashiers are also the people who are helping me. I do the pricing primarily, but then they will help at the end, because they basically set up and arrange. They're great interior decorators. The ladies who work with me are just like, they just have incredible gifts that they bring. And so then once they're all ready, then we all are pricing. But typically they work in front of me and I price behind them. But I've already priced the big things ahead of time on that sheet that I've sent to the family.
Right. And then what about online sales? Will you do an online only sale?
No. Not really, because it requires so much, like for each item, like you have to photograph it 10 times, inventory measure if there's any damages. And for us, I mean, if there's something like at this last sale, we had a Tiffany sterling silver pitcher and that I knew like I can't leave at the sale because it's
too valuable.
It's too valuable and I'm not going to go 25% off. I'm just going to take that and sell it on eBay. So when there's small valuable things, we'll just, if we offer it up and if no one comes in, then we just put it directly onto eBay just because it's better for the clients.
Are there companies that do online sales only?
There are. Yeah, there are. There's Savacool and Sons. They do online only and they're great. Sometimes, because when we do one where, like we did, the Wagner family who started the La Jolla Playhouse. It's like the Wagner Center for the Performing Arts. Yes. Yeah. And they're such a nice old Del Mar family. And we couldn't get people up because it was in a senior retirement community. So we had a ton of stuff left over and it was just amazing stuff. And I don't have trucks. So I called them and then they came in and they bought out what was left and great. And then they, so I work in concert with certain companies too, when necessary. Just to make it so we try to be like a one-stop shop,
Hi, friends. I want to pause here and speak directly to the sons and daughters listening. If your parents' health is changing, if the house isn't supporting them the way it used to, or if you're stepping into decisions you never expected to be making, you may be trying to figure out who should be helping you right now. Well, there's a lot of voices in this space. The key is knowing which one actually fits your situation, and that's where a discovery call can help. During that conversation, we look at your specific circumstances and get clear on what needs attention first. It's about helping you identify the right next step and the right professional for your situation, so you're not guessing or reacting or carrying the weight by yourself. If having that kind of clarity would steady things for you, you'll find the booking link in the show notes. Now, back to the episode. And some people, they have items to sell in their home and they're still residing in the home.
Yes.
So is that a possible?
That's okay. That's not great because the problem is as I said before, like people steal, right? And so, for instance, like we did one like that maybe a month ago in Carmel Valley.
So you'll do them.
We'll do them, but we don't like to.
Rare. Okay.
Yeah. We'll do them if we have to.
Because sometimes that's the need.
Yeah, it is the need.
They have to live in their home until they sell it.
Yeah.
They can't afford where they're going until the home sells.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So
as long as like they work with us and they like separate their stuff and it's like boxed or maybe put in a room.
Okay. And you can help them to do that,
definitely.
Or a senior move manager can help them do that.
100%. Yeah. Okay. We help them, but it makes it difficult though. It does because, it just can be like we accidentally sold something that we weren't supposed to, and then they're upset. But it's like, I'm like, put blue tape on
Yeah.
Please pull it so we don't accidentally do it, because it's hard for us to know, when we walk into
when
an
they're
environment.
personal items and the items that you're selling are too close sitting together.
Yeah, it's all just there together, and and they don't tell us that it's separate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've mentioned Del Mar and Rancho Santa Fe, but I know you sell all over San Diego.
We do.
So is there a certain area that you consider selling in, or the whole county?
We'll go as long as it's interesting. We'll go anywhere. I mean, we did one up in Newbury Park in the summer, all in LA, because it was like this Elizabeth Rice Grossman. It was like of Grossman Burn Centers, and she was the first female corporate raider. Oh my gosh. Powerful lady, amazing lady. We did Ivan Boesky.
Look her up.
Yeah, look her up. She's cool. And Ivan Boesky we did, because
So what if it's just an ordinary person?
Oh, everybody. I mean, most. Right? I mean, I only, I puff. I'm a puffer. Yeah. I'm like more fancy, famous clients, but really everybody is just, and we have so many lovely people, and.
I know my clients have been very happy with you.
Your last client, I loved. He was,
I love him too.
Both of them, so sweet, and his stuff was so interesting. He was, professor of history, and it was all like gold rush history. So interesting.
Yeah. I love that you know the history and that you appreciate the art and all of that.
Well, it is. It's like every person is like a universe, and we like to honor people. We like to say like, supermodel, like in the 50s. We like to take whatever is their thing and just make them the main character. And
I love that.
This is these are her clothes, and this is his, like, these are the maps of, like, California and the 1880s, and it makes it
love that
because it's just so much more interesting than, like, shopping, just like getting something that has no soul. All this stuff has like great depth of interest, and and it's fun for us too, because we get to usually so if the person hasn't passed, then then we get to meet them,
know their stories personally. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So when people call you, what are some of the most common questions that you get asked?
Well, it's mostly like how quickly we can do it. And so we try to, like, the longer the better.
So you book in about a month to 2 months out?
Yes, I'd say. Yeah, on average.
I find that people expect that you're just going to be available next weekend.
Yes, exactly.
And it doesn't work that way.
No.
So, and usually they don't call you until they're ready. So
yes.
I try to encourage people to make the call now. Let's set the date and then work towards the date.
Yes.
And then if you need to adjust the date, you can.
Yes.
Just like a doctor's appointment. You can make it and get in and cancel it. But if you wait to the last minute, you're looking at months out.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
It's like, get me on the calendar.
Yes, exactly. Just call and we'll make an appointment. We'll go and see, or maybe send pictures, and, definitely.
Very good. What are some, have you ever run across something that you didn't think was going to be worth that much and you were really surprised that it was worth more, or you thought it was worth more and you were really surprised it was worth less?
Well, so we did this lady, and she, interesting story. She had alcoholic dementia. And so she was taken away by the state.
What is that?
Well, it's, I think, when you drink so much that you have dementia induced by drinking too much. I mean, she was an elderly lady.
Okay.
And she had these 4 dogs, and she had left her refrigerator filled with meat open, and it, like, the neighbors for like a block could smell this house. I mean, it was terrible. It was a terrible situation. And so anyway, so the state came in and they took her out, and then her, like, many times removed cousin came, because she was the only person who was really, to come in and do the estate sale. So she had just a trunk of, and in the trunk there were these long gold tubes. And I was like, gosh, is that a chime for a grandfather clock? Like, what is that? I've never seen anything like this. And the lady's husband, who had passed away, had been a industrial engineer for Gillette, the shaver.
Oh, yeah.
And so anyway, so it turns out it was 18 karat gold. Like, these tubes were like 18 karat gold.
Interesting.
Yeah. And she had just, like, it was just in her house with her 4 dogs, and, like, in a chest that wasn't locked. It was just wild. I think at the time, it was maybe 10 years ago or something, it was like $65,000 worth of 18 karat gold. And that was like something that we were a huge surprise. And that we've had guns. Yeah, like some guys like, oh, I've in the toolbox. And a lot of our seniors do have guns. I've got to say, they really do.
Good for them.
They really do.
They know how to use it.
It's like I wouldn't mess with any seniors in this neighborhood. Seriously, they all have guns. They really do. And so in a situation like that, like sometimes we'll come up with stuff like, I can't sell guns because I'm not a licensed gun person. I can't sell alcohol because but I have dealers, who I call up, like I have 2 dealers for guns.
Dealer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, but and they'll come and just buy it directly from the family. So it just sort of, whatever it is that you
facilitate that deal. What about cars?
Yeah, we sell cars.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we sell cars.
And I know you take a different percentage for cars.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So basically typically the way we work is it's like a 60-40 split for the most part. 60 to the family, 40%
Is there a minimum
to us.
spend or profit?
Not really. We usually won't do it if we don't think that there's going to be enough. Because I have a lot of labor and I have really great labor.
And I've seen that for a long time. Every estate sale company that I used to talk to over the years, it used to be 60-40, 60 to the client and 40 to the estate sale company.
Yeah.
And then lately I've been seeing companies come in and saying there's a $3,500 minimum and then we'll do the split with you. Or there's a $5,000 minimum and then we'll do the split. So there's different funky ways that I see that they're negotiating.
Well, you know how
I like the 60-40 because it's straightforward. Yeah.
It's like a mortgage, like when you get those like weird mortgages that you think, oh, I'm getting this great deal. And then you're like, no, actually, I'm not getting a good deal at all. And that's what a lot of those things are. Like you have to make
the fees are
so much money.
Yeah.
You have to make so much money in order to make it worthwhile. And if it's sort of a more low end situation, you're losing money.
And I understand, they're coming in to do a job.
Fees. Yeah.
And they want to make sure that for their amount of labor that they're getting reimbursed for that time. I completely understand it. But as far as like the profit side, but I want to make sure that the end user understands what they're getting. And that's really what's important to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We try to be super clear. We don't do that because it's also too complicated for me to figure out, honestly. Like I just like a straightforward model and we all understand what it is. And so it's basically 60-40 for the most part, unless it's a really fabulous sale or in a really great area and there's no cleanup, then we'll negotiate around there.
And some people don't know if their items are a fabulous sale. They don't know if their items are enough for an estate sale company to represent them. So how would a homeowner know? Do they just need to call and have that conversation? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And just you call me. I can go out. I ask generally for pictures up front, usually, if it's someplace far away. But then usually with cars or any like individual item, it's a 90% to the family and 10% to us. Because if you sell a car, it'll be 10%. If you have like a lot of gold jewelry or sterling silver, especially now because the cost of gold is so high, the cost of silver is so high, if they have a bunch, then we'll do a 90-10 on that as well. Because it just makes, it's what's right to do because with gold, like I have someone who will buy gold. I can sell him gold for like 92% of melt, which this is kind of like in the weeds here, but 92% of melt, whereas like someplace like, like a gold dealer that you have on like a local gold guy who has a shop, he'll give you 75% of melt. So if I get 92, the family's still getting 82, which is more than 7% more. Well,
that matters.
Yeah, it does because it can make a huge, it's a huge difference, really.
And what happens if you have a client who has a lot of things that they are going to sell, but before they decide what they're going to sell, basically what I'm asking is, not everybody has heirs.
Yes.
They may not have a next of kin.
Yes.
And so you can sell something and they can utilize the money themselves.
Yes.
But photographs and heirlooms that they feel like should be passed down, especially photographs. I know you're not selling photographs, but
we are.
But when but I mean like family photos.
No, we are.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because sometimes people don't care. Like they don't care about history. And so and artists will buy these old photographs and they'll make art projects out of it. People will do
that. That's so interesting because I feel bad. I have a client and she has all these family photos. And they're not going to go to anyone, and it makes her feel bad. Oh. And so I'm trying to find an answer for her. So this is such a great answer because I just want her to feel good about it.
There's also stock footage, like people will, there are people who do stock photos, so it's like you have a photograph of your mother and there's no negative. There's no way that like you own the copyright of that, basically, if you have a photograph from the 1970s, and you buy it and then you can sell it on stock, as stock footage, but you have to have pretty good photographs or interesting photographs in order to do that. But people buy old photographs all the time. Like I don't know if they're trying to represent that they have, or they just love old pictures,
Yeah, how interesting. There's lots of stories that are told.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Hopefully she'll feel better too. And maybe you feel better. So what emotions are you seeing most when you're doing an estate sale and you're working with families?
Sometimes, everybody has a different relationship to their objects. I did the estate sale of this lady who was the president of the Hemlock Society. And she was so attached to her object. She's like the most attached but her thing is all like right to die. So for her emotions around her objects was very, very strong. And I don't know why exactly, but she was a cool lady. She used to wear this tote bag that said, "Die like a dog, ask me how." Like,
oh my goodness.
She was a very cool lady, but tough, But anyway, so everybody has different feelings about it. And when a person is really sensitive about or sentimental, which it's usually in a family. There's different family members who have different feelings about objects, And some people get very upset when we're selling stuff, and so it can be hard. We try to, our whole thing is to like meet people where they are and like try and work in a way that's sensitive and respectful and hopefully the majority of that work will have happened, before we come on the scene. But if some people will say, I want to sell this, and then they'll change their mind. And that's okay. We try to we're not super strict. Because people are, we're all sensitive creatures and we try to respect a person's, thing. But if it's only if it gets kind of out of hand. You know what I mean? Where like everything we try to sell, we had a lady who was like a major collector, and everything we would sell, she would take out of the person's hands and just say, oh, you can't, she didn't leave. And then she wouldn't sell anything. So it was a very bad situation for us because there was so much labor in getting the sale ready. And then she wouldn't let us sell anything. So we sort of learned not to do that kind of sales anymore.
Nowadays, you mentioned the one lady, dementia is so prevalent.
Yes.
And families, if they're moving a loved one either into their home or out of state near them or into, say, a memory care.
Yes.
And they have to move their parent.
Yes.
And then the items need to be sold so that they can sell the house.
Yes.
But their parent or their loved one has they're aware, their awareness is still there, even though they have dementia.
Yeah.
So like, how do you talk a family through when it's okay to sell things? I know it's not up to you to decide that it's okay, but I'm saying for them to decide how to manage that process.
Yeah, because it can be very, it can be very, very difficult.
The person has to move.
Yeah, they have to because it's not safe
to be there.
Yeah.
And so, but they think that their things are still in their home. I know that's a conversation between the family and the loved one, but do you ever get involved in those conversations?
I do. I mean, we had one recently where the lady went to Arizona and she had just her dementia was progressing, and fortunately, like, so basically we say, say if it'll help, to like say to the lady wherever she's going for like a month, you're just trying this out and we're seeing how this goes. Let's go through and you pick out the things that you love and you take that are very meaningful to you. You take those with you and then in a month, if you're not happy, then you can come back, and your house will be fine and we aren't going to do anything. And so to just like let that sit for like a month so the person is sure. But really, it's so hard. I try to, for me, the person that I answer to is the senior, is the elder, is the person with dementia. Like if they tell me something, I have to do what they say. I have to take my direction from the person whose stuff it is, because I can't betray that person in the sale of their objects. Like if they aren't on board or whatever, I can't do something behind somebody's back because I don't think
and that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Usually it's the family members.
Exactly. Like the families want to just get rid of it. They want to like get their parents
They've already
safe.
moved mom or dad out. Yeah.
Yeah.
What, have you seen families come together? Because there's, it can be very emotional and very distraught times if it's, in that generation, they had 5 to 8 kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of family dynamics.
Yes.
So do you have a good story that might have come out of one of your sales that brought a family together?
Let me think.
I'm sure we all have stories or could imagine the opposite. So I'm just like, is there a good story?
There is. I mean, a lot of times, like, it's usually when the family, it's usually like I had a really sweet client that I really, really liked. And she and her brother and their mother had this, jewelry. She was a jewelry designer and she lived at, White Sands in La Jolla.
Yeah.
And when we sold hers, I mean, they were like lovely, but they were already a good family. I think that it's most of the time, actually, it's not bad. Most of the time, the family can they come together or they understand, like, well, this person, their love language is objects, and they want to hold on to everything, and they feel like their mother would have wanted them to have all these things, and but yeah, I mean, not like it's very rare actually that it's a bad situation. It's very, very rare that it's.
I'm glad to hear
bad.
that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At the end of the sale, do you have somebody who comes to do a clear out, or did the families have to manage that on their own? No, we do. I have this guy named Alfredo, and I swear to God, he is worth his weight in gold. That guy, he comes from Mexico. He has one of those like long trucks. Trailers. Oh, trailers.
And he does it as a swap. Like he'll take everything and take it to Mexico. He won't.
I bet he loves you.
Yeah. Oh, he does love me, and I love him. Like we love each other. And but the only fee that's involved is if there's trash. Like if there's trash, then he charges $100 per truckload, and then the dump fees. And so, like at the end of the day, if there's like a because also books usually fall into that category because he's taking it to Mexico. So, but what we do is we go really low on our books, like, 50 cents a book on the last day or something, just to try and clear.
Are libraries still taking donations of books?
They are, but the last time I did, I think Carmel Valley has stopped, and there's not very many that actually do take donations. They're hard to find.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the very beginning, let's say somebody's at the very beginning process.
Yeah.
Okay. They've decided that they're going to move or they're going to downsize in some way, or they just want to get rid of their things. Maybe they're planning to stay in their home, right? So many different scenarios.
Yes.
But either way, they're at the beginning stage and they're not sure where to even start the process of just what they're going to keep and what they're going to get rid of.
Yeah.
Are you ever brought in at that early stage?
I am. And what I usually try to say is like, take, 3 or 4 different colors of tape and make like a chart on the wall, and just, blue tape means I'm taking with me. I definitely want. Green tape means it can be sold at an estate sale. Red tape means it's garbage or whatever.
Okay.
It should be, and so just to start categorizing as you go and just have these rolls of tape. And so it doesn't have to be all in one time. And then, because I think that something that stops people from moving is the inability to face going through that attic filled with boxes and that garage filled with boxes of stuff that's memories. And is it mine? It's not mine. It was my husband's mother's and he's passed. And what do I do with this stuff? Like, it's emotional questions that are very hard for people to answer.
Yeah.
So what we do is we come in and we'll just like go through all of those boxes. We'll lay everything out. And if the family finds stuff that they want, they can just take it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you can see, you don't have to do that mental, emotional work. And if we find something that you want, you can just take it. It's not a problem.
I was sharing a story where, so all of our memories, they're individual, right? So this water bottle might come from, my vacation, and this means something to me.
Yes.
And let's say my child is looking at this and they weren't on the vacation with me, let's say.
Yes.
So this doesn't mean the same thing to them.
Yes.
And my mother, I went home, it was like 10 years ago. So I was clearly an adult, I had my own family, and I used to have this toy chest, and I kept that. But it was filled with all these things. And she said, I want you to go through the toy chest and we got to downsize and start getting rid of things. I said, okay. And I opened it, and it was all of my elementary school, like assignments and papers and drawings. And it meant absolutely nothing to me. I mean, I was kind of like, oh, isn't that interesting? But beyond that moment of, oh, this is, this is what she chose to save, it didn't have the same meaning to me.
Right.
And so it was easy for me just to dismiss it. I mean, not dismiss her, but to throw the items away. And I felt so guilty that there was nothing in there that I wanted. So I kept my school backpack from 4th grade. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep this. But when my children are going through me and my husband's items, I have my dad's items, and those items just aren't going to mean the same to them. So if you're listening, if you watch this later, it's okay to get rid of them if they don't have the same meaning to you as they did to me. But we keep things during our lifetime to make us happy.
Yes.
Right? So we can, and then also, do you ever suggest that people take photographs of things before they let them go?
I do. Yeah. Because then they can have them. And I have a client, in fact, who, she was involved with this group of artists in New York in the 70s. And it was just this, Lenore Tawney is the artist's name. And we're auctioning her piece, I think today or tomorrow at Rago. And for her, we photographed it because this lady also has dementia. So just to have that. And then I sent her all the auction things just so she, so she can look at it, and there is some kind of memory holder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it, a memory holder. So we've all seen or at least heard of the TV series Hoarders.
Yes.
And I like that you have a new name for them. It's major collectors. So it's so politically correct and heartwarming,
well,
right?
We want to respect people because,
Sure.
I mean, it's, everybody has, part of it is that I think that we all are very similar people. We're humans, and we have tendencies to, I mean, some people don't, of course, but I think also it's more common than it seems. And it may be like we did a lady who literally had 100 sets of china, 100 full sets of china. And it was like, we thought, oh my gosh, we're never going to get out of here. Like, even my liquidator was like, dishes.
Yeah.
And, but it's okay too. It's like, what we call like late stage capitalism, like we all buy, buy. But at the end, it's like, well, then we just have all this stuff, and it's okay. She enjoyed it. It was her life. It was her choice. It was her money. She could do whatever she wants with it. It's just having to be on this side, like, okay, now we got to get rid of it. Yeah.
So in closing, are there any closing thoughts that you want to share with anyone listening? Anything I haven't asked you that you think that people might want to know?
Well, there was a question that I read about people being embarrassed or whatever about their homes and their, and I just have to say that for us, it's never embarrassing because we go into so many homes all the time and everybody is pretty similar. Like, some people are neater, some people have more collections. I mean, it's all just a part of the process, and we try to, honor and respect everybody's experience. And for us, it's more like, it's like adventures. We're learning about people and learning about your life, and it's interesting and we really enjoy it. But I just that don't be embarrassed. Like, just don't have feelings if you can,
Well, I get it. I've been in hundreds of people's homes, not talking about my friends, but just, people wanting to sell their home.
Yeah.
And people, even someone who has a clean house, they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like when people come to my house, I'm like, oh, I need to put this away. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? Like, so I think it's just a natural response, number one, to say, oh, please excuse my mess.
Yeah.
Whether it's a small mess or a big mess. And we as professionals know that actually that's how a lot of people live.
Yeah.
In a messy home.
Yeah.
It's very common. Most people don't have a house cleaner.
No.
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 Most people are working hard and they're tired and they come home from work and they can barely get dinner on the table because they're exhausted, and then they go sit on the couch and they don't have the time to be picking things up.
No.
And I agree with you. So that embarrassment is natural. And just know that when you're working with a professional, that we can see past that, and we're really there to serve you and to help you to move to help you meet your goal, and so you can move to the next stage of what you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
When I was asking about the hoarders, I meant to go into a little bit more about families might inherit a home.
Yes.
Where there's been a major collector.
Yeah.
And so how do you manage that process?
So
do you sell homes? Do you do estate sales for things from major collectors?
We have, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it can be challenging because, we won't do dirty, like animals and food and stuff like that because it's unsafe. And I can't risk having people get hurt we're fully insured and everything, but it's too risky for us. But for most like kind of hoarders, but what we'll do is we will set up a table outside and we'll just say, bring it out. Like, you go in there, you dig it out, bring it out to us. And then we'll just price it as it leaves. Cause we've been doing it for so long, and my cashiers and all of my workers have been with me for so long. And they all, we all pretty much know what the majority of things are. And if something is complicated, then I'll just look it up, at that moment.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so if someone wants to call you, they want to hire you, or they want to interview you, how do they reach you?
Well, I have a website, which is bluewatersrelocation.com. And then my phone number is 858-333-1853. And you can just text me. And texting is always best because sometimes, we're doing a sale and
moving a table.
Or moving a table. Exactly. So, and because I can always answer if you text me. But the first call is usually a phone call. And then, so then we'll make an appointment. I'll come out and meet with you. If you send me pictures ahead of time, just so I can have an idea of what, we're looking at.
Like how many photos? 10 photos?
Yeah, 10 photos. Just like rooms, rooms, a couple of like close-ups of like the special stuff or what you perceive as the special stuff. Because sometimes, like crystal, for instance, is a hard sell, and people have saved it, held on to it, but it's really not very valuable. Whereas like that crusty paint covered stool in the garage that dad has been, grandpa had, and that,
that's worth
a lot
to a buyer,
to a buyer. Yeah.
Right
to
now.
like, whatever. Cause it's hard to kind of stay on top of like what the kids are into, but we try. Yeah.
This is great. This is great information. Thank you so much.
Valerie. Oh my gosh. Well, I love doing your sale, and it's so fun to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
How do you handle collections, coins, paintings, cars, guns? Oftentimes a collection is worth more than the sum of the articles.
Well, so for instance, like whatever it is, like I typically will find a dealer who deals in those things. And like I recently did a seashell collection, and it was very esoteric and very specific. And so I went to the Seashell Club of San Diego. I got that guy to come and meet me. And so we went through and he assessed the whole thing and then came up with a price. But then we ended up piecing it out and selling, like, cause a lot of them had this weird seashell infection. But yeah, so whatever it is, like with guns, I have a dealer. I have two dealers actually, because I had one guy who's a police officer and I have another guy who has a gun shop. And so I asked them both. And so they both kind of bid on it. So, cause when I take something out to an appraiser, I try to get 2 or 3 different answers. So, because I had a situation where one of my gun dealers said, "Oh, that gun is $3,000," and the other guy said, "That's a $17,000 gun." They're both very knowledgeable. We went with the $17,000 guy because
What do you do with LP?
With records, we go them and we check and make sure we don't have anything fabulous. Anything that's like, we check through and comp out. If it's a collection, we'll find the gems in it because we check everything.
You have, as a part of your group, you've got an expert in that area, or
it's not that hard. It's not. We basically like I will go through and photograph each item, and then I can pull up, based on what, like for records, for instance, it'll be like whoever produced the record, what run it was, what year it was, what the number is, and then I can tell you exactly what the price is. It's Discogs is the website that I use for records. But each like there's a lot of different websites that have the information. Like for more esoteric books, we use Abe Books, and for different, sometimes there's furniture that is really, I have a guy who's just like knows, he has a photographic memory, and he knows like every single piece of brown furniture, wood furniture that like has ever been created. I can call him and I'm like, "Steve, can you tell me? I know this is old. I don't know exactly what it is." And he'll steer me at least in the right direction.
what do you do for musical instruments like a piano and a violin?
Well, I mean, I have 3 baby grand pianos for sale right now. One of them is a August Forster, and it's sort of a small press baby grand that's made I think in Germany or Austria. So we figure out, we look at the serial number, we comp everything. We look at sold prices for every single item that we sell. We had a mandolin. I have a spinet, that we're selling, like a harpsichord that's, like on like a piano harpsichord, that we're selling in about 2 weeks. We go online and we find what it is exactly, and then we find a sold thing that is as close as we possibly can get, and then we'll just comp it out that way. And then there's specialists that I know. There's a lot of auction houses, because a lot of times we have a lot of really wealthy clients. And so like, we have one thing at auction right now. And like with the cars, if the cars are really great, I mean, maybe the car isn't running. So then we'll send it to an auction for cars that have to be trailered out, And, because we try to get the highest and best use for every single object that we have.
You're really good at that.
Yeah. We try to really, and we work a lot with high-end stuff. That's our sort of our main, jewelry, art, fine art,
And that's
we
the
sell
difference
cars.
between an expert and somebody just doing this for a living, is having the resources that you have from your experience.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
met all these people along the way. You know what websites to go to, and being able to source those items
And have buyers
makes
for
all the
those
difference in the
things.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, because that spinnet is like an insane thing. Like, who's gonna buy? It's just like, it's so esoteric, but we've already had like 6 people call me about it. And I'm like, okay, maybe we actually are going to sell it, because nobody plays it. I mean, maybe like some German ladies in the 1970s, like it had a slight heyday,
There's a German society in San Diego.
Right?
There's a lot of German
I'm
people
going to call.
here.
I'm
Yeah.
going to call.
Yeah.
I'm going to call. Yeah. But we try to, we work, so like you obviously have collections of stuff that are interesting and special. And so I would say to you, when I came to you, like, please tell me and give me all the information that you have on these things. And then with your information, then I can go out to my people and, because the coins are not hard. They're just tedious. You know what I mean?
What I do have is a little collection of 78 LP records, which I think there might be some gems.
Yeah, especially if it's jazz.
A 200-year-old violin and a 30 or 40-year-old piano, both in very good condition, and I don't play either of them any longer. And so I have an interest in knowing what to do with them.
I mean, usually like Steinways, like if it's a Steinway, I know we're going to sell that thing.
Mine's a Yamaha, actually.
Yeah, Yamahas are great too, and it just depends on the serial number, how, was it tuned every year, all of those things. But we sell, I mean, I don't think I've ever had a sale where we were unable to sell a piano, which is, I mean, and we've gone low though, because sometimes the pianos are, have not been played in 40 years and, there's.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
How do you have a problem working with an estate executor as opposed to an owner?
Not at all, no.
So, but he would need to know who you are.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes people put me in their, they put my company in their
Estate documents.
in their estate documents.
Same for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's not an uncommon thing because you have the relationship and you know who you'd like your family to use. It also makes it easier for them so that they're not searching for someone and they don't know who to call. So it's spelled out in your documents to help them. Mm-hmm. If you have any other questions that were not answered today, please comment below. We look forward to getting you answers and helping you and serving you. Thank you so much.